We're back. All right. About 20 minutes ago, I said I would go home, and yet I'm here. So you're watching Guitar Quackery Live. This is the one and only live streaming guitar repair channel. There's another live streaming guitar channel from the Workbench. It isn't a repair channel. It is this channel, Unquendor Guitars. Please focus. Okay. All right, check him out. He's really good. Another channel you should check out is Steve Cassidy Guitars. Now, this is the spelling. He's not a guitar tech, but he's got a good channel. Check him out. It's worth your time. It's worth my time, so it's worth your time. Okay, you know, check him out if you like Steve Cassidy. Give him a, sign up. And if you like Unquendor Guitars, so currently those are my two favorite channels, just in case you want to know. Okay. If this wants to focus at all. Oh, come on. There you go. All right. Make a note, a mental note or just whatever note. Okay, so I'm here because I need to resolve something with this bass. Right? So yeah, tip of the day, when you just maneuver a bass, hold it close to the headstock, because if you hold it like this can happen. Boom, right? Okay, so if you hold it close to the headstock, you know where your arms are, where your hands are. So that's how you can hold it and carry it safely from point A to point B through a tunnel or a doorway. Okay, we've seen this bass before. I really want to help out this customer because it's his first bass, I think, something like that. So there's a sentimental value. Now, normally, when we have what we see here, we might want to change the neck. But then, it makes it a different bass. Let me put my switcher app. It's right here, okay? So this is it, okay? And it feels to me like the truss rod is maxed out. So now, I'm going to explain what the options are. I need to do this again because I believe there was a little bit of a not quite full understanding. I already did a truss rod assessment video, which was, now you're watching part 4 in this series. It was part 3. So after exchanging a few text messages with the owner, my customer, it feels to me that, it needs another video to clarify everything. So here. So first of all, I got this bass without strings on. There were no strings on it. These are sacrificial strings that I put on. So when I get a guitar or a bass without strings, I don't know anything about it. I mean, I don't know much about the truss rod. I don't know much about the nut. So, yeah, that's always a risk if someone brings a guitar without strings. I just don't know what is going to happen once I do put the strings on. All right, so let's just remove these strings. So on the bass, it's kind of easy to just remove strings and put them back on. On a guitar, it's annoying. Well, it's also annoying on a bass, as you can see, but it's more annoying on a guitar, especially on the treble side of the guitar. We need to remove this neck, and we need to talk about the truss rod nut, not to be confused with this nut, the truss rod nut, okay? So here are the strings. Here is the bass. These screws are loose that are holding the control plate and the whatchamacallit, pick guard. And I need to remove the neck. It's old. It's made in USA. It says right there on the headstock. And now it's being serviced. I'm not sure if the truss rod ever worked properly. I don't know. This is the first time I'm seeing this bass. Well, today is not the first time it's on the bench, but you know what I mean. Okay, so we removed the neck, and now I can simply place the body over there into the case, right here, where it's safe. No one's here, so I can even keep the case open. Right? I'm by myself. All right, so what's the deal with this? The truss rod is maxed out, I think. I have here a truss rod to explain some things about truss rods. And I have some spacers that I make. And let's talk. Let's put this camera over here. All right. And we need the truss rod wrench. Good. Okay. So, I adjust truss rods every single day. And I know what a truss rod should feel like. Now, when I tighten this in this direction, and I'm already feeling that it's really tight, I still get a noticeable up bow on the neck, okay? So when you have an up bow, you should tighten the truss rod more. But I just feel that it's maxed out because it feels really tight. Now, what does it mean that a truss rod is maxed out? Let's remove this nut. You see how tight it is already? And I feel that I cannot tighten it more. Well, actually, let me put this back, and let me just first measure something. No, let's remove it. Okay, let's remove it. So here I have a Fender truss rod from a guitar, not from a bass. This is the nut. Now you can see that this truss rod nut is shorter. Well, I don't know if you can really see that from there, but we have another camera here. So let's remove this nut. This one is longer than the one from the bass by a noticeable amount, okay? And that's how it is. So, as you can see, they don't even make these the same way always. So they don't make the truss rods the same way always either. Now this truss rod has a long threaded portion. And let's imagine that this is on the inside of the neck. Like that. And let's imagine that the threaded portion extends a little bit behind the spacer that's inside already installed. Okay, so let's imagine that. So now, when you adjust the truss rod, so let's extend it even more. When you tighten the truss rod, so this goes here, you are effectively trying to pull the truss rod in this direction. It would look even better if I zoomed in a little bit. Okay, that's it. So now the truss rod is, let's say, tight, right? And now if we tighten it more, what's happening is we're pulling the truss rod in this direction. You can see that. Okay, now on the other side, there's an anchor. So on the base, this anchor would be around here somewhere. I don't know. It would be anchored somehow. Now this is a truss rod from a guitar, right? So it's shorter. So sometimes this anchor gets either loose here, or sometimes the wood fibers get crushed around it, and this truss rod just gets pulled more. So now, we've already discussed the fact that we see right in front of our eyes that this Fender truss rod nut is longer than the one that I just pulled out of here, which is this one. Okay, so they don't make them the same, right? There's variations, and there's even greater variations in these truss rods, I believe. Yeah, not sure, but I think so. Now this we can see, and this we can't, because the truss rod is inside of the neck. So now, what does it mean when a truss rod is maxed out? Well, now imagine that this collar isn't like this, where you have a lot of the threaded portion behind the collar, but where it's kind of like right there. So now, when you are threading this, eventually you are going to hit the end of the threaded portion. Now, if you keep tightening it, if you keep turning this, you are basically twisting the entire rod, and the rod is going to snap eventually somewhere around here at its weakest point. And that happens when the truss rod is what we call maxed out. So now these threads, the last threads fall right here where this collar is. So what's the fix? On budget fix would be a spacer. And I make these spacers myself out of brass in different thicknesses. So let me take a spacer out of this. Let's say this one that I'm holding. So we have this situation. What we can do is put a spacer inside. Now, what I'm talking about is to put it inside here, right? We don't see this. And now the spacer is here. And now we can tighten the truss rod because we just extended the threaded portion beyond a shoulder like this. Now, ideally, you'd be able to remove this shoulder and put another one in, a thicker one. But the thing is that this thing is inside of this hole. You cannot pull it out. So instead of pulling it out and putting a thicker one there, you can just add a spacer. Now, what is the disadvantage of adding a spacer? Well, same way that I cannot pull this out of this hole once the spacer is inside, you can't fish it out. Now, can't, if we rephrase it, I can't do it easily, right? I could route out a portion of the neck like this and just kind of chisel out and pull out the spacer and then do some kind of woodworking repair on the neck after I fix it. So it is still possible to do it. It's just a lot of work. So instead of placing a spacer that can no longer be removed in the future, not easily, there's another option. So now imagine that you make a new truss rod nut that has a spacer already installed there. So you wouldn't make a nut and then mount a spacer on it. You would simply make a longer nut that has a recessed area like this, and then beyond this recessed area, it has the threaded portion, just like this one. So effectively, it would be a one-piece nut spacer combination. So now, if something doesn't work out quite well, so I don't want to keep turning this, right? I just want to explain it quickly. Let's put this here back. You would be able to put it on, and if something doesn't work, you pull it, you unscrew it, and everything comes out. Okay? So that's the advantage of having a custom truss rod nut made instead of using a spacer. Now, when would it be appropriate to use a spacer? Well, let's say that the customer was considering to purchase a new neck, which is, I don't know, $700, okay? And this is the last resort. We say, well, let's try this. This is a, cheap repair attempt, relatively cheap. We put this inside, and if it doesn't work, we don't care about the fact that we cannot remove it. We simply buy the new neck, right? Which is what you were considering anyway. But if we don't want to buy a new neck, then this is a better option, I guess, because you can remove it, just as I just explained. And now I need to stress out one thing very clearly. I don't know what is wrong with this. I just know that when I put this inside and I tighten it, oh, the other way around. It's late, guys. Okay. And I tighten it like this, right? I tighten it. I just know that I cannot tighten it any more safely without risking the truss rod, okay? And even when it's completely tight, I still get an up bow on the neck when the strings are tuned to full pitch, okay? So there's no more tightening on the truss rod. Okay, so now, the customer said that he wants to go this route, to have me make a new nut instead of putting a spacer inside, which I'm happy to do, obviously. But I need to emphasize one thing. I don't know that this will fix it, right? This is just an attempt at fixing it, because I don't actually know what's wrong with this truss rod. There's ways of finding out. I could take an X-ray. I actually have friends in this business who have taken guitars to veterinarians who have X-ray machines and agreed to do what is, I guess, an unusual project for them, right? So so that was done on some guitars that needed a neck reset, and they just wanted to know what the neck joint was like and wanted to kind of take some measurements to know where to drill and how to know how to remove the neck. Obviously, that added to the cost of the repair. But if we're talking about guitars that are really valuable, you know, it's just part of the repair cost. So taking an X-ray would give me more information, and then maybe I would know what's actually wrong with it. I don't really know that it's maxed out like this, right? There could be something else going on with the truss rod. Another option would be for me to route out this portion and then chisel out the rest of it and just look at it and see what's going on. But again, that's a very invasive procedure, and you know, I really don't know what would come out of it. So now, whether I'm making a spacer or adding, you know, or making a new nut with an extension, with a shoulder, I need to know some of the measurements. So now I need to know this depth. So if I put this here, you see that this spacer would be too thick, okay? Because this truss rod nut is now tight. Maybe I can tighten it just a bit more, that's it. But we don't want the truss rod nut to be protruding like this. So maybe that's why I have spacers in different thicknesses. So maybe this one, this would be the perfect spacer for this, you see? So now I know that the nut that I need to make needs to be extended by this much. That's it. Okay, that's the first measurement. The other measurement is I need to know which thread size this truss rod is. So on this truss rod, I can measure it with a hex nut or whatever, some a known measurement, and see what it is. But when the truss rod is still inside of the neck, I can't just put a hex nut there. So the only way to take that measurement is to remove the truss rod nut. And by the way, I did clean it up and lubricate it, right? And it's still stiff and maxes out, right? You've seen me do this in one of the previous videos. So the only way that I can take a measurement is to put a screw inside of this, a screw of a known size, and see which one fits the best. Or I can use taps. Now, what are taps? I have them right here. Those are tools that are used to cut threads. So these are taps. So they could be metric or inch imperial, right? And that's a US made Fender, so it's not going to be metric. So maybe this one is it. Let me see what size it says that this is. Well, I do have a microscope here. I don't think this is the right size. Let me see this one. So I got two of them. So I think the sizes should be 1032 or 1024. Let's see. So this is what they look like. Okay. And this one says that it's 1024. So that means the 24 means that this thread has 24 threads per inch. 1 inch distance has 24 of these threads. And this one is 1032. It's a finer thread, and it has 32 threads per inch. Okay? So this is the tool that will be used to cut threads. All right. And now what I need to do is simply check one or the other, and hopefully one of them is the right one. I see a lot of lubricant inside, and it's clogging up a little bit. Okay, I'll show you. So this should pass through, you see? And it's not passing through. You know, I think I might have just found out what's wrong with this. It could be this nut that is maxed out. So there's another way that this can be maxed out, right? Another way is if I show on this. So let's say this is a thread that's longer than this. So you can put it like this. And now, look at this. I can no longer turn it because it hit the end of the threaded portion inside of the nut. But there are still a few threads left here. So it's possible, because I'm supposed to be able to just put this through, and there was something stuck there. You saw that. You just saw me take it out. So it's possible that these threads were not cut all the way through. I don't know. All right, so let's try to figure out which threads they are. So this is a 1024, and I'm looking inside. And let's actually look through the microscope. So these are called taps, and these here are called dies. So a die is used to cut a screw, right? To cut a screw. So it would be used to cut this. So I'm going to compare the die threads, whatever I can see, of a 1024, you see that? 24 inch per thread, with whatever I can see inside here. And it looks the same, right? So now, to confirm that, I take a 1024 tap and gently, right? That's the key word here, gently. Try to screw it in. So this should be going deeper, right? And if I take the other one, 1032, right? And here I have a, oh, that says 832, sorry. I want to take a die that's 1032, this one. Do these threads look the same? These here look like finer threads than what I'm seeing inside of the nut. But, all right, let's test it this way. Yeah, this is cross-threading now. So I wonder, so in either case, if this is maxed out in either direction, either on this side or on this side, clearly a spacer will help, right? But I wonder if we can just fix this nut by cleaning up the threads. Or if at this point we should just buy. So I know that this is, well, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know, right? I think that this is a nut with a 1024 thread inside. And look, when you look inside here, it doesn't look very clean. Okay, so maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the problem. Okay, so, well, I'm glad that I had a closer look at this, because at this point, I think the best way forward would be to order a new nut and see if it works. Because initially I thought that there's actually nothing wrong with the nut. After all, it passed the quality control, right? But as you could see, I pulled out some junk out of it, right? So let's put this back. Yeah, so I think that this is a 1024 thread standard. If I end up making a new nut, I gotta extend it by this much. So I have this measurement here. I'm gonna discuss it with a customer. So obviously I'm doing these live streams so the customers can watch. I didn't send him a link tonight because it's already past midnight, but I'm going to send him a link. Yeah, Dr. Jeffrey Boyle is here. I did say I was going to go home, but you know, as you can see, I'm still here. All right. So now I'm kind of curious to see if it fits better. It might. I don't know. And you see, that collar is not going to come out. That's deep inside somewhere. Well, all I can tell you is that I can't be tightening this truss rod forcefully because it's going to break. All right. So hopefully this was interesting. It was a 34 minutes live stream. And believe it or not, I still got some work to do here at the shop, but I'm not going to be streaming that other work. This one I had to because I want the customer to watch this. Okay, my friends. So thank you for watching, and thank you for coming back. And I'll talk to you soon.